بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله ومصطفاه نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to Lessons in Fiqh. We have one hadith remaining with us, and then inshallah we will move on to a new chapter. The chapter we're studying is the conditions of Salah. The hadith has the number 179. Who will read it for us?
Inshallah.
Please.
Narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Kill the two black ones during salat," meaning prayer, the snake and the scorpion.
Now this hadith is authentic hadith, and it tells us that it is allowed for us to move during salat. Mustafa, for what?
For any necessity.
Such as?
Carrying a baby.
And this hadith? Killing the snake or the scorpion. So this is a necessity. It's not a sign that of your virtue and you're a good committed Muslim, that you're praying and you find a cobra coming, crawling towards you and is about to bite you, and then you're about to bite the dust, and then you say, well, I'm going to continue praying. No, you have to. It's a must that you move and kill it. And scholars say that movements during prayer is divided into four types. Fadi? It's divided into four types. The first type is the movement that is regarded as a lot and without any legitimate reason. And it's in sequence. And this type of movement, scholars say, nullifies prayer. Can you give me an example, Muhammad? Movement that is a lot, in sequence, and has no legitimate reason.
Yeah, like some people used to, what I said?
Rub their skin.
Yeah, rub their skins 2 times, 3 times without any reason.
Yeah, but this is not a lot. Now, to say a lot, meaning that, Mustafa?
If you run away, for example.
If you run away, that's a lot. So if you're praying and then, oops, I forgot the food in the microwave. So you go and move and go to the kitchen and take it off or turn it off and then go back to prayer. Is this acceptable? This nullifies your prayer immediately. If a person answers the phone, talks on the phone, if he takes, and I've seen this, I've seen weird things, people answering the phone during prayer. And some brothers said that they've seen people taking a piece of paper and taking their pen and writing a note while praying because they don't want to forget this thing that just came into the mind. And then they put everything back again. This is a lot of movements that could be considered to be nullifying salat. So this is the first type. The second type, which is moving a lot, but not that much, which makes prayer, the movement itself is not preferable, not recommendable. So you move, but you move slightly, such as the people while praying, some of them play with their beards. So while they're praying, they do this. Or they play with their, what we call shimar, the thing that they wear on their head. So if it was slightly, if you're moving from one position to the other and just fix it, or so it does not bother you, it's okay. But if you're moving it all the time, or some people play with their watches in prayer, and I've seen people, while in prayer, adjust their watches to the clock in the masjid. So the guy does, yes, okay, now we're okay. This is also, though it is movement, but because it's not as much as running away, because it's few movements, it's not recommendable, it's makruh, and it's a sign that your prayer is not complete. The third form of movement, which is considered to be little and scattered, and there is a reason for it. So this is permissible. It's not in sequence. You know, you make it once in the first rak'ah, another one in the third rak'ah, and one at the fourth rak'ah. And it's little. It's not as much. So this is okay. Such as a person praying, he wants to make prostration, he fixes the position of the wash and then prostrates, because he's afraid that it would hurt his wrist. Or any of this sort. It's little. It's something that is negligible, then it's okay and permissible. And the fourth type is the obligatory movement, that you have to move. Such as if a person in front of you leaves his position, leaves the row and goes out of it, then it is obligatory that you fill his position and walk a step or two to fill that position. And this is permissible, and sometimes it can be obligatory. If you get this itching in your head, Mustafa, while praying, and it really itches, so is it preferable that you scratch your head, or try to fight it until prayer is over and then you jump on your head and start scratching it?
I think it's preferable to scratch your head, because it will not let you concentrate during prayer.
Do you all agree with that? You all agree with this? Fadi?
You try first not to scratch it, but if it's going to distract you from focusing on the prayer, then you should just scratch it.
Then this is the same answer almost. Yes, this is true. If it's going to distract you, you have to do it. Otherwise, the rest of the prayer you will not contemplate on. And this is exactly as we find in lots of mosques. While we're praying, you hear a mobile phone of one of the brothers going off. So what do we do? And the phone keeps on ringing, and the brother refuses to turn it off or to answer the call. And it stops, and the caller calls again and again and again and again, and throughout the whole prayer, and the phone is ringing. After the prayer, you ask the brother, why didn't you turn it off? He says, I didn't want to move in prayer, and which would void my prayer. Was this right, Noor?
No, I think it's, he have to make his mobile off, and after that, because it will disturb itself while praying, and also maybe another.
Do you buy this, Abu Malik?
Yes, I agree with him on that.
You think you should turn it off? If a caller calls, you should turn it off. Well, out of experience, I believe that this is not good. Because no matter how many times you turn it off, he's going to call again, because he gets the busy tone. So when you turn it off, he calls again. And when you turn it off, he calls a third time. The best thing to do is to turn it on. So he hears the people praying, and then he realizes that, oh, that's why he can't answer the call. Do you have any remarks? Yes, sir.
You just switch it off, switch the whole mobile off.
This is possible, but when you have a key lock on with your mobile, this means that you have to take the mobile and see where the key lock is, unlock it, and then turn it off. And this may cause you confusion. But to begin with, the best thing is that to turn off the ringtone before you go in the mosque. Abu Malik?
Well, I would say something that Brother Mustafa said, you can just turn it off. If somebody rings, just turn it off completely. Yeah,
well, this is the best thing to do. The thing that I would like to bring your attention to is that a lot of the Muslims, unfortunately, put ringtones that are songs, that has a music notes to it. And this is forbidden in Islam. As you know, songs are musical instruments are forbidden in Islam. And this is the direct instructions of Allah Azza wa Jal in 3 verses of the Quran, and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, as in Sahih al-Bukhari and elsewhere, and also the consensus of the 4 schools of thought. The 4 imam agree that musical instruments are forbidden. And I wonder how people, and where are their minds when they go to the shop and they pay them a certain amount of money and tell them to download this song or that song. What are you trying to signify? Showing off to people that you know these songs? A normal ringtone would do the job. It notifies you that there is an incoming call for you. So one should always try his best to inform people and tell them whenever he hears the mobile going off that this is not permissible. If you have a ringtone that is a song, and especially this happened many times in mosques, while people are contemplating, while people are praying, in the middle of the prayer, you hear this mobile with a sound of a female singer, singing as loud as she can in the middle of the mosque, with a famous song, and everybody in the prayer would immediately click to the song, and instead of saying Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, they would start without intending that. It's not within their control. They start to think about the song during prayer. So imagine how many sins befall on this poor thing who paid his money to get this song downloaded to his mobile. It's a sin, and one should be avoiding it. Brother Mustafa.
Okay, does this include or exclude the ringtones that come actually with the standard phones, not the ones you download?
No, even those that come with, by default, from the company that manufactured the mobile. There are songs in your mobile. Like in some mobiles, you have the bee ringtone, or the mosquito ringtone, or the ring ringtone. This is okay. But if you go to Mozart 40, or you go to the Fifth of Beethoven, or you go on to Bach, or you put Pink or Backstreet Boys or whatever, these are all forbidden. You may not do this because these are musical instruments.
What about the Nokia tune, the one that's in the phone itself?
It's the same thing. I mentioned this. Anything that has music.
But is it music?
It's music. You can dance to it, can't you? It brings joy to you when you hear a tone that has different tones. This is unacceptable in Islam because it's considered to be music. And Islam tells you music is not allowed at all. Now, what's the wisdom of that? We think we need a whole program to explain to you the dangers of music, but I'm afraid that my cameraman says that we have to take a short break, so stay tuned.
Go ahead and recite from the beginning, because I have a few comments on the previous recitation. It was great, but I would like to share with each other some comments on a few letters. So I would request you to recite from the beginning, Ya Shu'aib, please.
Okay, تسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم.
Do not be afraid to say Yasha. Do not say Yasha. This is wrong. There is no such recitation.
مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. Before the break, the brother read to us Abu Huraira's hadith, which said that the Prophet ﷺ said, kill the two black ones during salat, and that is the snake and the scorpion. Now, one of the brothers may come and argue and say, well, the Prophet ﷺ was white and he did not like blacks. So what do you say to this? Now, is this acceptable in Islam? At all. We have no race segregation, none whatsoever. And we have companions marrying blacks and blacks marrying from whites, and there's nothing. As long as you say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, they're all equal at the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they all, differ depending on the amount of virtue they have in their hearts. So when the Prophet says, ﷺ, kill the two black, this doesn't mean that you go out carrying your 9mm and see one of them homies and pop him, and just kill him. No, this is not acceptable, of course, because the Prophet is not talking about blacks and whites. He's talking about these insects, a scorpion and a snake. And again, the color is not a determining factor, meaning that if I'm praying and I find a white snake coming, said, well, the brother is okay, he's not black. No, you kill the snake. The color is just a general thing. So if you have the scorpions, there are white scorpions, there are yellow scorpions, there are black scorpions. So the color is generally, they are black. But if you get a different color, then you have to kill that snake or scorpion. Abu Malik?
Is there a certain snake or all snakes?
Well, at the very beginning, there were all kind of snakes that you may kill. But then this was obligated by the Prophet ﷺ identifying a certain snake in the house not to kill. But all other snakes, yes, you may kill those. According to what I know, that you may kill all kinds of snakes, except those that in your house. You may not kill them until you notify them. One would say, whoa, notify snakes? You want me to see a snake in my house and say, excuse me, if you please leave the house? Yes, the Prophet says, ﷺ, that there is a possibility that these snakes are your brethren of jinn. So you have to notify them. This doesn't mean that you have to stay in home. You may leave. You may take your children and go. But you have to notify them and give them a notice of 3 days, and then you may do whatever you want if they do not move and come out. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim, where a man was newlywed and he went out and he came back home. He found his wife standing at the door, and he was so jealous. He was so angry, and she told him, wait, don't jump to conclusions. There's a snake in my house. So as soon as he went in and saw the snake, he threw the spear at the snake, and the snake jumped at him and stabbed him. And well, it didn't stab him. It bit him, and he died. So the Prophet came and said, that don't kill these awamir in your houses, that live in your houses, until you notify them and give them notice. There are types of snakes that the Prophet said that had 2 dots on top of them, and they are quick to make pregnant women miscarriage, and they can kill with their looks and so on, to be also killed. But according to what I know, all snakes can or must be killed. Mustafa?
When you notify the snake, do you say it in a specific language or any language?
I don't think that snakes carry language tags saying that this is a French language, so parlez-vous français, or you just notify them, because if they're jinn, they understand your language. So you ask them, by Allah, if you fear Allah Azza wa Jal, leave this house. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. You notify them in this manner. And afterwards, you can do whatever you wish. Any questions, remarks? Yes, sir.
Is this like a specification by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that you can only kill scorpions and snakes during prayer?
Well, that's a good question. That's a very good question. No, this hadith tells you that whatever harms you, you may kill it during prayer. So this is not only scorpions and snakes. So if you get the black widow, the spider, they call, what do you call it, tarantula or whatever? I don't know the name. I'm not good with those. I don't want to be. I don't want even to meet them. But if you get one and say, this is not a snake, and it's not a scorpion, well, I don't think I can kill it. No, you have to kill it. You have to squash it if possible. And likewise, if you get a dog with rabies, also is attacking you, no one tells you to stay. Anything that harms you, you have to stay away from it. Mustafa.
What about non-poisonous snakes? Do you still have to kill them?
Well, apparently yes, you have to kill them, but I have to also refer back to my references again and check it out with some of the scholars to check their opinions, because what appears to me that all snakes are to be killed. And if they're not poisonous, you don't know what else they could do. So if an anaconda, the big snake, it's not poisonous, but it can crush a man to death and swallow this man, and it would be good for about, what, week or two, and then it moves on.
No, I just meant like a small snake, like that doesn't have any
that's
poison.
a worm.
It doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't harm.
A peaceful snake,
A baby snake.
or a baby snake, or what I think that it's all harmful, and it all does bad things to you. So if we have an order to kill scorpions and snakes, the Prophet ﷺ did not identify which snakes to be killed, so we should kill them all. It's exactly like killing mice. You have to kill mice, but nowadays we get people with hamsters, and they buy them and they wash them, and put shampoos on them. They put them in nice cages. They feed them the small white rats and so on, and they think that's good. No, it's not. All rats are to be killed, because the Prophet told us ﷺ that they would burn your house. They go and they take any piece of cloth and they go into anywhere that there is fire, and they light this piece of cloth, and they move on and burn the whole house. This is what the Prophet said ﷺ. So apparently that you should kill all types of snakes, unless there's another hadith that tells us no, not all of them. Because at the very beginning, when the Prophet migrated to Medina ﷺ, he ordered the companions to kill all dogs. This was at the very beginning. So they started killing all the dogs. Now, the dogs are usually najis, impure, but there are things that you may use them for. It's permissible for you to keep dogs in the case of?
Yeah, in the case of that fear of enemy.
Not the fear of an enemy, to guard.
Oh yeah, for guarding.
For guarding. Okay, what else, Mustafa?
For hunting.
Hunting, and what else?
Agriculture, like for the plantations.
Any the farm?
Yeah, on the farm.
The dog's farm?
No, I like
to guard, to safeguard
the farm.
your farm, to safeguard your crops, yes, and to safeguard your cattle, sheep, as a German Shepherd, and this is called German Shepherd because it's known to accompany sheep and so on. So this is permissible. So at the very beginning, the Prophet came and said, kill them all. And then this was obligated. And the Prophet told them, do not kill the dogs except the black dogs that has 2 white spots or yellow spots on his head, because this dog is a devil. So black dogs are to be killed. It's permissible. Normal dogs, no, you have to leave them. It's okay to leave them, because you may use them in the things that we've mentioned earlier. As for snakes, it so appears to me that the order, the instruction to kill snakes is general, so one should kill them all, unless there is another hadith that obligates this. I don't have any knowledge of it, so it should be kept. Likewise, if one has a scorpion and he takes the sting off the scorpion, it doesn't become harmful, does it? It doesn't bite. If it cannot sting, then it's not dangerous. Does this mean that one should keep it and preserve it? You know, make it his pet? No, this is not acceptable, and I don't think that any one of the scholars say this. We move on to the following chapter that deals with sutra. And what does sutra mean? Sutra means the screen. It's the thing that you put in front of you before praying. And what use do we have from this? It prevents people from passing between you and it, so it keeps your distance for prayer. And we have one hadith to begin with, is hadith number 180. Who is to read it?
Narrated by Abu Juhaym bin al-Harith, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger ﷺ said, if the person who passes in front of another person in prayer knew the magnitude of his sin, it would have been better for him to wait for 40 than pass in front of him.
Now this hadith tells us it is a sin. To do what? To pass in front of a person praying. And in this hadith, the Prophet told us that if you only knew the magnitude, you would have stopped for 40. And he did not specify 40 minutes, 40 hours, 40 days, or 40 years. And scholars say that it is 40 years, yes?
Also Muslim has added that.
There's another version, yes. Well, okay, that's good. Fad did not read this. Muslim added that it 40 for Bukhari.
Al-Bazzar.
Oh, Al-Bazzar. Well, the scholars say it is 40 years. So it tells you that the magnitude of the sin to pass in front of a person praying. And this indicates that a person should have something in front of him, whether it's a visor, whether it's a chair, whether he's praying to a wall, to a pillar, or to a person sitting down. This would also do the job, but not to pray in the open. And in case a person was praying in the open, then for you it's forbidden to come and cross between his feet and the position where he puts his forehead. Now this is his prayer area, and you should not trespass on that. If you do, then he is the sinful, the one who's praying. He is the sinful because he failed to put this sutra or this screen in front of him. And you will get something also similar to that because you deliberately passed without taking any consideration. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for today's program. Inshallah, next time we meet tomorrow, we will try to go through this hadith and talk about the issues related to it. So until then, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.